Hi, my name is Nicole Humphrey, and this is my fourth year participating in the Read with Malcolm virtual programs. And I can't possibly tell you how impactful these programs have been both for my students and for myself. So I sit and I'm reflecting on the last 4 years. It's incredible, really. I remember I basically just stumbled upon Readable for the very first time. I had a mentor that was teaching me a new strategy with instruction for reading, and got the kids really excited about it. And then she said, the next step is you need to find a reading competition. And so I just went on Google and Googled it, and Readable popped up. And so I started to read about it. At first I was like, okay, there's no way that I'm gonna be able to participate in this, because I could see that it was really big. It was, at the time it's, nationwide, and so, I kept reading further and further along, and that's when I realized that the program was free. And suddenly, for me, that made me so excited because, in education today, there's not the funding for teachers to be able to participate in anything outside of what's already been purchased by districts. And even things like professional development opportunities that used to be paid for, it's not there and it's not available. And so to find out that I was going to be able to participate in this program with no strings attached, just sign up and get my students involved, I was so excited. And again, that was 4 years ago. That first year, I remember introducing it to my students. I shared Malcolm's story, and they watched it on the screen. And I had this one little boy, and oh my goodness, he was such a struggling reader. But not only that, he struggled as a student in general, and he struggled to like school, to like learning. And so he was, for me, that year, he was my why, because it was just so important for me to reach that child. And I remember sitting there watching his face as he watched Malcolm's story, and I could just see something change. There was just something, I can't really describe it, but there was just something, a softening, if you will, on his face that I recognized. And I thought, oh my goodness, like this really could be something. So that year, I didn't really know what I was doing, but I did everything I could to get the kids excited about reading and about participating in Readable that year. And that was when we first started experimenting with exploring the idea that you could be really creative with how you read, where you read, when you read, and recognizing that reading is such a part of our lives that we do it all the time and so often without even realizing it. So it's becoming mindful of when it is that we do read, and what kind of an impact that reading has on us. And so again, that was that first year, and I loved it. It was so fun. And I think every year since, it's just grown a little bit more magical. It's grown more magical for myself, for my students. I feel like it inspires me, it challenges me to find new and innovative ways to reach the kids with reading, to get them excited. Just little things. But I think it's not even so much about what we do with the kids, right? But it's about it's kind of like what I said about that young man. It's what happens and what is going on within the child as they are transformed into a reader. You start to see a sparkle in their eye. You start to see excitement when it's time to read. And it kind of brings me back, reminds me to when I was a little kid, and I struggled with math. Reading for me was okay. Math was my struggle. And I remember my mom saying to me, at some point, there's going to be a light bulb that's just going to go on and everything's just going to click. And I don't know if that really happened for me with math. I wish it did, but I definitely see that concept happening with my students with reading. This year I had an example of a little girl. I teach third grade now, and I had this little girl in my class. She's learning English for the first time, and so she's a struggling reader. She's just now starting to learn a few words, and I remember she went ahead and she read just a few of them, and she got so excited. But it wasn't as much her initial excitement that made my heart feel so full, but it was seeing all of these kids just rush around her and just embrace her and just throw their arms around her, give her so much support, so much encouragement. And I looked at her face and she felt so proud. And seeing my students feel proud is about the most wonderful thing that I could possibly imagine as a teacher. And it's really interesting teaching right now. I mean, we're coming out of several years now of dealing with COVID, and there's a lot on teachers' plates. There's a lot of changes, a lot of new expectations, a lot of new constraints with funding and with curriculum, and just so much, right? There's just so many changes and challenges. And I think that if you're not careful as a teacher, you can really get bogged down on these kinds of things, those kinds of things, right? The things that are challenging, the things that are exhausting. And I think a lot of times educators think that, like, if you add one more thing to your plate, that it's going to make things harder, right? Especially when you're in a challenging season. And I think, yeah, if it was something added to a plate that was something that wasn't life-giving, that didn't feel good, then yeah, that would exhaust me. But for me, participating in the Read with Malcolm programs is actually what energizes me. It's what allows me to keep my focus on my students and my excitement as an educator and not worry about all of that other stuff. And so that's why, even over the past 2 years, I feel like I've been more excited, more invested in participating in these programs than ever before, because it's what keeps my heart in the right place. And so I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful to the Read with Malcolm Foundation, to all of the people that work so hard to make these programs possible, because I have the privilege of getting to see how it affects students. I have the privilege of seeing their smiles. I have the privilege of hugging them when they accomplish something that they're proud of, and getting to see that sparkle in their eye, getting to see their joy. And so I'm just so thankful for that. I'm thankful for that opportunity, and I can't wait to participate in these programs for many years to come.